Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick video on something that I've been meaning to do for a really long time, and that is to upgrade, not really upgrade, but improve my room. It really needs it. It's a bloody mess. And let me show you just what I mean. So here it is. It's kind of becoming a dumping ground again, and I just need to fix stuff up. So the main objective is to drop my screens down. They're still way too high. Look at the wheel and the screens. It needs to come down a notch. And the thing that's been stopping me from that was this shelf right here. That part of the shelf is rigid. I can't take that out. So this shelf here is 3 shelves used as a wall divider. This only takes up half the room. The other half is our drawing room at the moment, but it's kind of like a clinic. Latest update to the room is these shelves. We're trying to improve soundproofing, and so what I really want to do is drop those screens. Once I drop the screens, I think the driving position is going to be much better, but that involves I'm going to have to take all the screens off and cut that bit of shelf. And if I'm going to be doing that, I may as well do a bit of cable management too. There is so much cable management to do. I've also gone onto eBay and bought a whole bunch of LED lights. So what I want to do above the computer is have shelving here, here, and down the end, and all lit up by LEDs at the top, and just like a little showpiece. And because it's got the brown backing, we've got the white stuff on the other side. I've gone out to Bunnings or the hardware store and bought more of that white backing, and so we'll have that facing this side, and I think it's going to shine really well with the LEDs lit up. So yeah, kind of make it a bit of a showpiece, clean up the cables, and I also need to fix up my webcam. At the moment, the webcam is just sitting there on a pole. Oh, look at all those cables. They're going to get cleaned up. And so I want to make some sort of bracket or just something permanent where I can fix that up. Also, my frame here, I don't know if there's a good angle for it. Yeah, see how it angles up like that? That is fully flexing now that I've got load cell pedals. And what I want to do is make a bit of a bracket as like a stopper to stop it from flexing, because it's flexing onto that angle part and being used as like a pivot point, and it's kind of lifting this part of my frame. So all it's being held in by is those 2 screws on either side to stop the pole from extending, and it's only a matter of time before it breaks. So unfortunately, my Peter Brock post is off the wall, because one of the other upgrades I'm going to do is soundproofing. We really need to soundproof this room. So we're going to have like curtains here to stop all of that noise. The shelves will stop all of that noise. Foam on the walls all the way around, and the ceiling as well. So lots of stuff to do, lots of projects, and I thought I'd bring you guys along for the ride. So let's do it. So here we are outside, workbench, table, whatever. Basically, I want to make this bracket so it's got like 3 uprights, and it's holding the pole, whereas it all the way at the top there. And any flex that the frame itself has will push against those 3 uprights. So got my basic measurements. Let's see how we go. Well, that took a couple more days than I expected, but this is the finished product. Just basically trying to make 3 vertical mounts. That was the plan, so that the frame can sit on this section here, and then there's no flex in my frame, so basically it'll sit kind of like that. And it took a lot of engineering to get those 3 holes exactly right. Lots of scrap wood. Lots of attempts. We got there in the end though, and I reckon it looks pretty good. So a bit of paint, chuck it under, and no one will ever see it. So the next job is to put this in. So hopefully, I've had to unscrew my frame from there. And hopefully it will just fit like that. With a bit of persuasion, it will go in. So I've put like a rubber strip in there as well. And yeah, something that you guys will never see. Well, there's a little bit of black there, but it's time to do it. Over a week, and I'm still procrastinating. So I brought it back outside, needed another clean. Doesn't take long for all the dust to build up. But the bracket's in. It is in. It ain't going nowhere. There's so many screws. I wanted to make sure that this thing, because your legs with full force of braking is pretty strong. So the upright here is that middle upright is all screwed in. This whole vertical plate here was a bit loose, so I've chucked a whole bunch of new screws in there. These ones are old. You see the end of the screw there is not threaded, so I was getting deeper into the screw and it was getting tighter and tighter, and then it threaded itself. So now I've fixed that up with a whole bunch of newer screws. This one didn't go so well. Maybe use a bigger drill bit next time. But yeah, it's over enforced now, and that pushing motion is fully stopped. And so the rubber in there, you can see it, there it is, just to stop any squeaking. Double-sided tape in between, and it fits perfect. So I had my first races this morning, and it's actually quite a weird feeling. So also, while it was outside, thought I'd give it a chance to do the things that have been on the list. First of all was this cable. The one I had, the black and white one, was 1 meter, and it was that short that the phone was on an angle because the cord wouldn't reach. So this is a 3 meter cable. Cable managed everything back into the box, and still there's only 3 cables that actually come out of this thing. Everything that's plugged in is plugged in through here. 2 USB hubs and a power board, and it's all very discreet. I'm still not sure whether to hook up the speakers. All the wiring is still there, it's just tucked in here. There's so much wiring in there and cabling, and I don't get to look at it that much. But it's all inclusive. I also managed to change the spring. So I've gone to the black spring, and unfortunately I couldn't find the little rubber spacers, which is supposed to be like this one. That's supposed to go at the end of each end of the spring. So instead of just giving up on the idea, I really want to try this black spring out for better modulation. I'll just use a couple of washers. Should be right, knackers. Still does the trick. It's still yeah, doesn't feel a hell of a lot different, but I thought having a stiffer spring will help with that. The 1%ers with throttling out of the corner. We'll see how we go. There was also a bracing that I chucked in here. It's all about flex. So there's less flex in my frame. I just put 4 angles, 2 there and 2 on this side. Lots of screws. Hopefully lots of strength. Okay, on to the next job. I got my kids with me today. Hi Pete. Say hi. Got Ayla. So what we're going to do is take everything out. We're going to drop the screens down a notch. I'm going to cut that shelf a little bit. so that the screens can go down. I've bought LED strips and everything, been testing them out, so they're going to go all the way along there, and hopefully it all works out pretty good. So let's do it. You ready to roll, Pete?
Yeah, I can't.
Let's get that jacket on.
I can't put my jacket on.
We'll get the jacket on and we'll fire up.
Right here.
Sure is a camera. Right, so Pete's got his jacket on and the room has been cleared. So this is the easy bit. That was just taking stuff out and just moving stuff around. Now we're coming to the point of no return where we need to take the screens off. Now I don't know whether to cut this shelf here, to cut it. So I've made markings, very vague markings down there, to cut a triangle pretty much out of the shelf.
A triangle?
Yeah, but this level of the shelf is actually rigid. It's actually screwed in. Hang on, buddy.
Let me see that.
Yeah, there you go. See, we're recording. So, I don't know whether to take that middle section out because it's all, I've actually screwed these shelves all together. So that, as part of rigidity, doesn't really matter now, does it, Pete? So what I want to do is either cut it.
Let me see.
But either way, I've got to cut it to get that screen down. And it's got to go down a big notch. So we'll plug away. Crunch time. So many cables and wires and far out. So the idea is, yeah, it's got to go down a notch. That's where I've got the foot camera currently. So go down a notch and yeah. So we're getting there. And the idea is to have double-side tape a lot of the power bricks and stuff for the screens onto the back of the screens themselves. And I need to really properly work out these angles, whether I think I want the middle screen in the front. So now I've got the opportunity to play around with that, where last year when I set this up, this frame, awesome frame by Track Racer, I pretty much set it up, plugged it in and left it. So fixing last year's problems as well. So getting there, decided I'll just take the whole thing out. That way I don't have to worry about any sort of minor adjustments or doing all the cuts, putting everything back together and having it wrong. There's no shelf there now. So now there's nothing holding me back from dropping those screens, which is really why we're doing this whole thing. But all the projects that I want to do along the way are going to get done. So those shelves are going to get dropped. Another shelf, I've got white backing for all of the shelves. So it'll be white, LED strips for the top shelves, and another LED strip for where the computer goes as well. So hopefully it'll look good. And then this little section down here will just be a cavity under the screens next to the simulator where I can chuck me coffee and notebook and stuff, because I write down everyone's names and people I chat with on Twitch and stuff, so I can remember where all you guys are from. So on to the next job. Let's keep rolling. So here we are with Pete. Say hi.
Hi.
So he's been helping me very much. So those holes were already done, but what we've done, we've cut the shelf out. We've put some holes up here for the LED strips. So the plan is, something I got off, look up a guy, Declassified Systems. He puts the LED strip up and then he puts like a bracket in the way to prevent the glare coming out. And what it should do is just light up that whole area, each three. So I've got a 3 meter strip going across. And there's a 50 meter strip up there. Sorry, 50 centimeters. And I'm thinking 2 50 centimeter strips, one down the bottom, one up top. So one glares up and one glares down and creates a big glow. Got to put the white paneling in now. Get rid of all those cords, put the white paneling in, and it should look pretty schmick. So this job's taking a bit longer than I expected. Missed out racing today, but it was alright, got to watch GF1s. But we're on the way. Hopefully all the bling's going to be worth it. So I've got all the paneling in now. Went out and bought a long piece of white wood, cut it up into 3, and that should expose all the LEDs. So there's holes cut so we can put all the LEDs all the way along, and there'll be LEDs in here as well where the computer goes. It's all about the bling at the moment. And cut an extra panel there so it's all white behind the monitor. Not too phased about that line there. And yeah, managed to do what this whole mission was about, and to drop the frame down that 1 notch. So now that shelf's out of the way, I'll be able to get the monitors in and then start cable management and then feed everything back in. My goal is to have it like there's no cables whatsoever. So we're getting there. Good fun. I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it. Go to work and think, oh, what about this? And what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And like fully reinforced, because with the shelves, we put extra screws in. So the rigidity of the shelf is probably stronger than when you bought it from the shelf, from the store. So yeah, we'll just keep plugging away. Nearly there. There's RGB, right? So those brackets that I put up the top of the shelf there hide all of the cables, all of the LED strip, and help, because it's all white, reflect all of that light just into the box, which I reckon is pretty cool. I'm going to put all my Ferraris there. Currently they're in a pile here, but that shot there, you only really on the shelves see sort of from here down where all the hats are. So I'll find another purpose for that, but this is my last attempt at LED strips, just blue tack. So we'll do it properly this time. Also going to get another piece of this wood and put some LEDs at the top and the bottom, and that's where the computer goes. So there'll be that glow on the back wall there, plus the RGB from the computer itself. But I've had to pack everything up because Kathy needs the room today. So it's back to being a clinic. And I've had to chuck everything in. But while I did, I thought I'd put one screen in. Now the frame's dropped down 1 notch. I just put the simulator in, and sitting at head height, you can see that there's still a gap there. And if I take that phone mount off and put it to the side, like the other one is, then I can have that steering wheel right over the base of the screen, which is what most people do. So, not back to the drawing board, but we're making modifications on the fly. And a lot of cable management. I can't really get to the back of it, but for the modem there, everything's been tacked up to the wall. I've got these little, got one less now. Got these little grommet things, cable management grommet things, and I was given a whole heap of them, like bags and bags of them, like last year I think. So that's going to go a long way to hiding all of the cables. And yeah, as I say, in all of them, we're getting there. I'm trying not to make this build vlog too long, but once I get everything right, I think it'll be pretty cool. I'm looking now, the reflection of the LED strip. Where you stand, you can't actually see that line. It just looks all lit up. and it looks a bit brighter on this one, because what I had to do was one 3 meter strip that comes all the way along, and then it folds back to about here, and then the remote control is fed. That's the remote control module there. So the LED strip goes up and back, which is making that bit brighter. So what I might do is put a bit of black tape over one of the strips, or yeah, we'll see how we go. But tick, 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 doing all the tiny little jobs and really enjoying it. So the plan is, like, just hide all the cables. This is just spare scrap, but make it look like the shelf was built that way. And I put another shelf in. That Holden pillow is going to go where the tape measure is, and hide all the cables behind that, which will feed into the computer. I know it's a bit of a hack job, but I couldn't get my big saw in there, and that hole itself took me about an hour to do, so it's pretty much blocked by the computer. But massive holes for ventilation with the rear fan pushes all the heat out there, so it doesn't sort of insulate it within this area. And now that I've got the new AIO, it's the cooling is very good in my computer now. But that's sitting down here sleeping. It's so hard not to race every day, but I'm going to really enjoy it once it's done. And I've decided I'm going to separate. I'm going to make 2 videos: a build vlog like this one, which will take a while, and then do like a 10-minute video just going through once it's finished. My simulator video. Tick, tick, tick. Until, got to go to work now. Until tonight, after work, we'll get back into it. Let the good times roll, eh? So this is probably what I've been putting off for the whole time. The start of this update, or this build, is cable bloody management. So last year I basically just hooked it up and plugged it in, that was it. But I spent the whole time looking at the dangling cables, and I was like, I've got to do something about that one day. And this is kind of why. So the plan is, you'll not see one of these cables. But I got my LEDs finally done. So the top bit's done. I've actually put a bit of tape. There was a, if you can see up there, there was actually a return line for the LED strip, because it was too long, and I wanted the module here, so the cable itself would be hidden. But that meant having return LEDs as well, which made this box brighter. So I've just put tape over it, and it's a lot better. It still seems a little bit brighter, but doesn't matter. But what I've done last night is I've done the same wood theory, top and bottom, where the computer's going to go. So I'll be able to change all the colors to suit independently. So there's 3 strips, and I reckon having that sort of glow behind the computer is going to be fairly cool. So yeah, finally dropped the screen another notch, because I chucked it in and it was still a bit high. So now the top of my wheel is right there at the logo of the screen. So it's going to be cool being so low and so direct to the screens. Now I just need to work out a little system. That's why I've got one screen up. I'm going to double side tape the power bricks to the back of the monitors and zip tie them up. Yeah, double side tape them to the back, zip tie the excess cables, and got the display ports and that as well. But there's the issue of having it go from all the power banks there to where the computer is. So I'm thinking of putting another white panel because I've got offcuts for these panels and having it like superficially mounted. So instead of put it about here so the cables can still come through, but you won't see any of them. They'll just come all the way through to where the computer is. Make it all completely discreet. So as much as I was putting this bit off, I actually quite enjoy this. If you check out my last build in the other room, cable management was priority, and I did some not so normal things with PVC piping and stuff. So yeah, let me think about it and we'll plug away. So we're getting there. Problem is I'm doing 12-hour days at work still, which has two challenges. First of all, time. I'd love to just finish this off now. I'm over it. I just want to put my simulator in the middle there and start racing again. But I've got this thing in the back of my mind. It all has to be perfect. So the first challenge is there's just not enough time. The second challenge is my mind ticks away. And because I'm up to the cable management part, this is really technically the home stretch. And I'm kind of a little bit lazy, to be honest. I don't know if anyone guessed that. So I've come up with this, I reckon, pretty cool idea of hiding all of the cables coming from the screen. So there's the power and display port cable, which has to run to the computer and to the power brick, to the power board, I should say. And there's a whole bunch of like Ethernet and power cables and USB cables and stuff that need to run from behind the screens and from the power boards themselves all the way to the computer. So there's this section in the middle, and I reckon I've come up with a pretty cool idea. I was going to put like a hinge or something like that, but I had some offcuts of these white panels. I went down the hardware store yesterday and I was ticking away at work, and I come up with the idea of magnets. So I've got 4 magnets on either side. I've attached metal strips on either side, and hopefully that's enough gap to feed all of my cables. And then when I'm finished, this is a lot easier with 2 hands than 1. So when I'm finished, it will go to the top, of course. There we go. And I can have 0 cable fussiness with 100% cable management. You shouldn't be able to see with the computer here. You shouldn't see any cables running behind that screen. The only issue that I can see arising is magnets and screens. When I was a kid, I haven't done it in a long time, but magnets and screens are usually not best buddies. And I'm just hoping that the screen, once it's in, doesn't go too close to these magnets, because then I'm going to have fuzziness and a whole bunch of other issues. And using this tiny little level, I managed to have them level, all hunky-dory, put the screens on, and it just drooped again. So I'm finding not so much a flaw, but these triple screw brackets for the screen themselves are really tedious, and it's basically, I kind of need an extra pair of hands. But it's 2:30 in the morning at the moment, and I'm not waking anyone up to align a screen. So it just means I just have to keep putting this job off again and again and again. Just want to get back into the car. But once this bit is done, the cable management itself behind here, I went and got some clips. I'll put them on the wall, run them neatly into that shelf there. All of these books that are sitting out of the shelf are going to sit in front, so it'll just look kind of like that, but all the cables running behind it, you won't even see it. And that should be it. Plug everything in, turn it on, and let's go racing. Can't wait. So we're getting there. Getting there. Should be the name of this video. Another issue that's come along the way, I put double-sided tape on the bricks, the power bricks for this. I've taken one off, which I thought would be a great idea, just to put it to the back of the screen. But with this tape, you've got to put pressure on for quite a while. So I got home from work last night and they'd all fallen off. So I just apply a little bit of pressure with my clamps, and that should fix that issue. The bar of this frame is wide enough that just put 2 strips, a little bit of pressure, and hopefully it'll just stay there for good. And so we're almost there. I've kind of been fast tracking the last bit because I'm just well and truly over it now. But most of the cable management's done. And I'll show you what I mean. So it starts off on this side of the screen, the far side. I've reinforced the double-sided tape with, there is double-sided tape in there, but just in case it falls out, my obsession with zip ties has begun. I will be taking all the extra lengths off. But basically, it all starts nice and neat. Look, 2 cables. It just keeps going and growing and growing. And like rabbits, the cables just keep growing and growing and growing. And by the time we get to this point, there's just so many cables and a cat. So all of this will be hidden. And it all goes through to the computer on the other side. Got my modem up there. Got it at the highest point possible so that I can just get better range throughout the house. We've always had issues in this house having it low. I don't know if there's something in the walls or not, but the higher it is, the better range we get, even out to the backyard. And that's the back shelf, which is the next project. It's actually what you guys look at in the videos behind me. But lots and lots of cable management and lots of cable ties. I got cable ties everywhere. Even this little shelf that I've made is going to sit here, kind of, and I can find it. Put the camera pointed down. It's probably zip tied in, and then I'll look down at the feet. So hopefully I'll get a better angle because that bar was in the way in the past. So maybe if we can get it back a bit. See how it pans out. If it doesn't work, doesn't work. But yeah, lots of cables. Nearly there. Nearly there. Almost at the point where I could just turn it on right now and forget this whole project. And yeah, but there was also one really important thing we've done today. I got an extra pair of hands. So my screens, for the first time that I've ever had them, are perfectly straight. That screen drooped as soon as I put it on the frame and stayed there for 15 months. This screen wasn't too bad, but I had to sort of slide it in and out to adjust it. Go away, puss. And yes, finally I have nice level screens. So I'll be able to push this triple screen theory to its absolute limits. So once the cable management is done, drop that top screen a little bit, clean my cars up. Those Ferraris, the Holy Trinity and the F333 are going to go up there. Pride of place, I've got some Ferrari stickers probably go on the back. One V8 supercar there, another model there. I'm going to hopefully within the next year or so save up. They're like $300 or $400 now for a V8 supercar model, and I want to get the model that is based on my paint job, the 1995 VR paint scheme of Brocky's. That's the paint scheme of my cars, so that will sit pride of place in the middle when I finally get it. But yes, computer there. Neaten all of these books up, so I'm going to make it nice and neat. So those cables will be hidden by books, and anything in there, these books will be all neatened up a bit, made look like they were meant to be rather than dumped. And yes, cables down the bottom I think look pretty neat. Having fun now, and finally got to turn it on. It has been a very long day. There's a couple of cables I can't do anything about. These two dangling cables are for the two USB hubs within here, which control the Stream Deck, the headphones on one USB hub, and the gear shifter on one USB hub, and the other USB hub has the steering wheel and the pedals. And it's a 3-meter cable that goes all the way to the back of the computer. But it looks like a lot of slack. There's not a lot of slack in that. So there's not really, if I channel it with those extra cables at the back there, it just won't reach the computer, which is unfortunate. Which brings me to my next idea of, imagine setting a computer up. Motherboard, graphics card, power supply, everything in there. Then I won't have to have all of this cable management. Just a few display port and power cables running from there into there, and it'll all be one unit. Whatever there. But I digress. Pretty happy with the way this thing turned out. Very happy. For some reason, this look, they're cheap Chinese modules, but if I've got a lot of remotes. They all came with an individual remote. Maybe I need to play with it. But the top and bottom have two separate remotes, totally apart from each other. But if I push the blue button, it goes green on top and bottom. If I push the green button, it goes blue. So still a bit of mucking around. But I'm going to make this like the Ferrari dealership. My other Ferrari, poor thing, it has to sit over here. And my F333, I'm thinking of moving over there as well. I've got the F333 SP because that is the ultimate car for Forza 1. That really got me into high speed, really late braking driving on the Xbox. The very first Xbox, not the Xbox One, on Forza 1. I spent many hours with that car. But we've also got the Holy Trinity, and I reckon that's not a bad display piece. Almost looks like real life, eh? Put it up like that. Anyway, tried to hide as many cables as I could. At least when you're here, all those cables that go behind here are completely hidden. That is just locked away, and that cabinet thing that I'm buying at the door is actually quite convenient because it's just on magnets. So anytime I need to adjust, I can get in there, play with the cables, and with a bit of force, slide it back up like nothing ever changed. So I'm really happy with the way that turned out. The top shelves, you can't see any cabling whatsoever. Okay, there is that. Teething issues. But yeah, there's a couple of cables I need to sort out. I just plugged the computer in. Maybe I could like continue my cable tie obsession down there. But either way, really happy with the way it turned out, and really happy that things just turned back on, to be honest. Looking forward to getting stuck into this. That will be my driving position from now on, rather than having the wheel, if I angle it, my wheel was so much lower than the screens, but now it's just like everybody else, like you guys. What do you reckon? Second a lap? I know this has been a really long video, but just wanted to bring you guys along for the ride. And I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I've learnt a lot of things as I've gone along. One major thing was with the screens and the bracket itself. I set this up on my own last time. Watching a guy on YouTube, he set it up on his own, so I went and did the same thing. But you really need an extra pair of hands for that bracket. An extra pair of hands and a magnetic level. And that was the only way we could get this thing 100% spot on. The other thing is, this should have been done by now. This should have been done 15 months ago, but like a little kid in a candy store, I had lots of boxes and lots of new toys, and all I did was plug it in and off I went. And then I spent 15 months looking at it going, oh, cable management, come on, man. Come on, knackers. And now I'm glad I did. So pulling it all apart and doing cable management and all that little neat stuff is something that I should have done from the start. All my cables are very neatly tucked away where you won't see them, and yes, it's an achievement in itself. Cables everywhere, but you can't see them anymore. Nothing's drooping under the screens. Really, really happy with that. What else have we learned? Yeah, that's pretty much it. What I have learned is just to enjoy the experience. You guys are the main reason that I've set this up. I could have just, had 3 screens, 4 screens and a camera and plugged away, but the sim racing community is awesome. And yeah, setting up a little project to show you guys has really given me some inspiration through the week to just go for it. Do as much as you can, and enjoy it while I was going along. So I was actually rushing home from work, going to Bunnings, or the warehouse, the hardware store on the way home, picking up little knickknacks and nooks and screws and bits of wood, and it just had me ticking, and I really enjoyed it. So that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned out of this. And now I can enjoy it from my seat and give you guys the best possible content. So thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it. If you've lasted this long, give us a thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you on the track soon. Thanks. Bye, guys.